This is Kefine. It's a brand new entrant into the budget IEM space, but it's made by the same people responsible for Sivga, a brand that a lot of people know about. They reached out to me and said, hey, we're starting this new company and the emphasis is value for money, so it'll be cheaper price points but good value. I said, okay, that's cool. Send me something, but also send me something from Sivga, why don't you? How come you've never done that? And they said, okay, fine. So they sent me this, the Sivga Nightingale. We'll talk about that later this week, but right now, the Kefine, their first IEM is called the Klanar because it's a planar by Kefine. Yeah, still lovely case, really nice looking and very slim, so actually quite pocketable. I like this case a lot. The IEM itself, I mean, the first thing, honestly, I can tell you about the metal construction. It's true, it's all metal. The wire is really nice and all the accoutrements on the wire, the little neckband divider thing, the 3.5 mm jack casing, all of it is metal. So it just seems like a really good build quality. But the cool thing about this is that it is very comfortable. It's just got a really nice shape for my ear at least, and it's just really comfortable. Nozzle diameter of 6 millimeters also means that yes, it's a bit on the wider side, but unfortunately this is one of the smaller nozzle sizes that I've been reviewing lately, so that's where it's come to. But a cool little detail is the nozzle itself has this lovely little pattern inside it. They didn't need to do that, but the filter inside the nozzle, cool little pattern. I like that little attention to detail. That's nice. Now inside though is a 14.5 millimeter planar driver, and how it sounds is interesting. I started off with Emil Sandé's All This Love, a great track, go check it out. Very nice female vocals, but the timbre was a little bit off. That's the first thing I noticed, apart from the fact that it was definitely quite bass boosted and quite warm in the vocals and the instruments. Now, warm in the vocals and instruments can also be thought of as muddy, and there's more than one reason for this. So we'll get back to that in just a minute. That's something to note. Bass, quite boosted, nice mid-bass punch, but that boost goes well into the sub-bass, so it's actually quite well extended and emphasized. So if you like bass, then this is going to be quite a bit of fun without going too overboard. It's just going a little bit overboard, right? Now, that bass definitely bleeds into the mids, making it warm and muddy, but there was something else I noticed that was a little bit missing, something a little bit off about it, so I decided to come back to that later. Next up was the Glitch Mob, We Can Make the World Stop, I think. Yep, that's the name, We Can Make the World Stop. Awesome track, by the way, again, highly recommended. It had a lot of energy, and this thing seemed like it had energy in spaces, and then something was missing. There was something off about it. So I decided to go with things that were a little more vocal and instrument heavy. Chris Stapleton's Traveler was next up, along with John Mayer's Love on the Weekend. Great tracks, both of them, highly recommended. And I immediately knew that there was something a little off about the mids and the highs. Nothing too bad. There were no major spikes and valleys, nothing like that, but just something missing. And sure enough, when I pulled up the frequency response, there was. So your mid-range rise peaks out at 2.2 kilohertz, which is quite early. Usually it's 2.5 to 3.5 kilohertz. So this peaks quite early and then drops off, which means there's a lack of energy, and the treble, everything sounds a little bit darker. However, between 3 and 6 kilohertz, there's an even bigger hole over there, and that is what I was perceiving. The good thing is, because there are no major jagged spikes and valleys, this is really easy to EQ, and that's exactly what I did. Just a couple of filters, just bringing up that upper mid lower treble range just by 2-3 decibels, completely filled out the mids. It sounded much nicer and more resolving as a result of that, and just dropping everything below 500 hertz by a dB and a half even just made everything sound cleaner as well. So is it the best for the frequency response? I don't think so. It's they could have done the same thing a little better by not hollowing out the upper mids a little bit, but I will give them points for easy EQ, no major issues with the frequency response, and the fact that it's got great build quality and construction, because the whole point of this IEM is to give you value for money, and that is clear when it's coming in at $89, straight up against the Moondrop Aria 2, another $89 IEM, that's single dynamic driver and is very well tuned. That is kind of boring. This one is not the best tuned, but it's not boring. It also takes EQ really well. So I'm still going to dock points from it. They could have done better, But at least if you buy this, you're getting a 14.5 mm planar driver, which comes with everything that comes with a planar driver. Really sharp, really fast attack, pretty well resolving overall, but you'll have to EQ it a little bit to get the most out of it. I think it's a pretty good first showing for an IEM company, although they do have more expertise behind them, so I don't know why they left that mid-range out a little bit. But if you do buy this, yeah, you're getting something that is quite seriously capable and probably going right up against things like the MP145, which is $150+, is much bigger in the year. And okay, I think the MP145 is a little more resolving still, but this is quite good with EQ. That's the caveat. And that's the Kefine. We'll keep an eye on what else they come out with in the future, but you can keep an eye on what we come out in the future by subscribing to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Stay happy, stay peaceful, stay colorful. Namaste.